Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Games Edition. So today's video is a special one as I'm going to be building a gaming PC and I'm going to show you guys a step-by-step guide on how to build one. So let's get started. So let me show you the parts that I've got so far. Well, the parts I have for the build. So I've got an RX 570 8GB version OC with the RGB. It's only got a single spot there. Let's get this to focus. There we are on the ROG badge. And the motherboard we're using is a B450M A Pro Max. Now the client I'm building this for, he's on a tight budget, so I've gotten all of this for £350. Okay, so let's move into the thing. So I've got an SSD here for the OS, so I'm going to be installing Windows on there. There is a 1TB hard drive which I have, but I've already put that in the computer, and I'm going to show you guys how to put that into. It's a similar process to the SSD. And the RAM I'm running, because this is a Ryzen AMD system, I've got some RAM that's over 3000 megahertz. You can get 3000, that's okay, but at the time for some reason the 3200 megahertz RAM was cheaper than the 3000. Now it is single channel, but I do recommend getting dual channel if it's on offer or something, or if it is compatible with your budget. So try and get dual channel if you can, as you're going to be sacrificing some performance if you go with single channel. Okay, so this CPU we've gone with is the Ryzen 3400G with, where's it gone? Vega graphics. Where's the Vega gone? There we are. With Radeon graphics. It should say Vega somewhere. And yep, it does come with the cooler, and we're going to be using the stock cooler. Now the power supply we're using is a Corsair VS 550 watt. So this power supply is actually from my computer, because the power supply that's meant to be in this system is not here yet. It's currently being delivered. So when that comes, I'm going to be putting that in. So let's get started. So I'm going to put you guys on the dock so that I can start building this. So be back in a sec. And we're back. So what I usually actually start off with is the motherboard, because it's a lot easier if you get everything onto the motherboard and then you just put it in the case, because it's a bit tight in that case. By the way, this is an ITX system, and the case is by Aerocool. It's called Aerocool Atomic. Save money, build better. That's probably the slogan. It's actually a really nice case. I'm going to show you some of the features of it after we've got the things onto the motherboard. Right, so motherboard. So as you can see, I've already installed the CPU. The process of installing the CPU is pretty easy. So you'll see this little dot right there on the chip. No, not the dot. The golden arrow, and that's meant to match up with this white circle there. And there'll also be, let me just take this out for you guys. There we are. You just lift that up, and let's get this to focus. Before putting the processor in, oh wait, it's a bit stuck in there. Never mind. Keep it. Let's get it out. I'll be back once I've got this out. And I got it out. So I already showed you the golden arrow on the CPU, which is right there. That's going to match with, so there's an arrow on here, there you can see it, right there. It's within the plastic, and then there'll be a circle there too. You're going to match that golden arrow with that circle over there. So let me just show you guys. Let's get this the right way around. Ooh, risking that. So all you got to do is seat that in. There we are. It should just pop in. Make sure it's seated properly. Don't push it down, because you could damage the pins. Just give it a little wobble there. See if it's seated. And then you just get the tensioning arm. Pull that down. And then undo that clip. And there we are. It's in. And you can see the golden arrow matches with that circle. Right, so the second thing we're going to want to do is install the cooler. Now, this CPU came with a cooler, unlike most Intel ones. So let's unbox the cooler. Now this cooler does not have any RGB on it, however it is one of the beefy ones that AMD gives you. Quite big. And it has got some thermal paste thermal paste applied. However, it looks slightly faded, so what I'm going to do, I've already got some thermal paste. I'm going to put some of that on, and I can show you the method at the same time. Right, so I'll be back with the thermal paste. And we're back with the thermal paste, so let's get the thermal paste on. Let's get this thing to focus. So all you're going to want to do is put a little blob. There we are, that should be good enough. Now, I'm not going to spread it because as soon as you put the cooler on, it sort of gets pressed down and spreads anyway, so you don't really have to spread it. And I'm just going to put the cap on the thermal paste, and then we're going to get the CPU installed, the CPU cooler. Okay, so now let's install the cooler. You can choose whatever orientation you want. However, there is only two orientations. You can either put it this way or that way, the opposite. Now, as you can see, the bracket is not there in the holes. So what you're going to want to do is lift up the board. There's the bracket, and get the bracket in. There we are. There we are. Oops, stay in. Actually, you know what? Let's take the motherboard out of the box. Make this slightly easier. Now, what we're going to want to do is keep it on its anti-static bag, just in case. Get this all closed. There we are. There we are. So as you can see, the holes are there now of the bracket. And let's get this on. So the orientation I'm going to be using is that way, because I want the AMD badge facing towards me when it's on the desk. And right, so you're going to need an X-head screwdriver for this. Just make sure it's the correct size for the screws, so that you're not threading the screw itself, or you're never going to be able to take it back out or put a screw it in. Right, so I'm going to get this screwed in, and I'll be back. Right, a few things when screwing this in. You're going to want to screw it in a star pattern. So you're going to want to start here. Once I get this to focus, start here, then do this one, then this one, and then this one. So that's the way you got to do it, so that you don't snap anything or put it in bent. So just keep that in mind when you're installing it. And when you're screwing it down, don't use too much force. But once it stops moving, then that should be enough. But don't tighten one all the way, and then the other, then the other, then the other. Just do so. For example, one 50%, that one 50%, that one 50, and that one 50. Then 50 again, 50 again, 50 again, 50 again. Just do it that way. It's much easier, and you've got less chance of breaking something or installing it the wrong way. Right, I'll be back once I've installed this, and I'll see you guys then. Okay, so the cooler's installed. Another thing I forgot to mention, by the way, is as you can see, the screws have springs beneath them. So once the spring starts to make this squeaking sound, that's when you're getting it too tight on one side, so switch to the other. And if it's doing that on all of the sides, that means you've got it tight enough, so stop there. Right, so next thing we're going to install is the RAM. So the RAM I've bought is a Corsair one, and it's AMD tuned. So the timings and hertz and stuff should already be done, I'm guessing. But if not, we can check that in the BIOS. And I'm going to show you how to go into the BIOS too. So let's get the RAM out. Bit hard doing this one-handed. And there we are. RAM is out. So you can see that I've gotten the Vengeance one. LPX Vengeance RAM with the heatsink on it. So let's get this thing opened up, and I'll show you guys how to install it into the socket. Okay, so now that we've got the RAM out, I'm going to show you guys how to install it on a 2-socket version and a 4-socket, which is my PC over there. So let's get this done properly. So the small length side will go here, and the long one will go towards the top. So just have a quick look. Yep, that's right. And you're going to want to open both clips. On some motherboards, only the top one's open, but just double check to see whether they're both open or not. So slot that in. As you can see, it's got to line up there, lined up, and then I'm going to show you guys on here. I think I'm going to have to turn the light on. There we are. So focus, and then get that in there, and then let's turn the light back off. Then all you're going to want to do is just give it a firm push and it should click. So you heard the 2 clicks. That was 1 click there and 1 click there. Just double check, is it seated in properly? Yes, it is. And a thing I forgot to mention is the CPU cooler wire. So as you can see on the motherboard, it says there CPU fan 1. There we are. What you're going to do is match it with that plastic. Turn the light on again. Match it with that plastic piece right there, so you can see the space. Then all you're going to do is just put that in. There we are. Done. Right, now I'm going to show you how you put it in if it's single channel or dual channel on a motherboard that has 4 of these slots. So let's go over to my PC. Let's turn the light because it's quite dark here. So as you can see, I have dual channel in my computer, and you're going to want to put one in there. So not in the last port, in the second to last port, and then one into the first port. So let me just, I got the radiator wires in the way, so there you can see it. And if it's just single channel, you just only put it in this slot. So where my finger is. Right, let's get back to the build. And now that we've got this stuff on, let's get it into the case. I want to show you a few features of the case, and I'll be back. Okay, so here we have the Aerocool Atomic case. Now this case actually has some fancy things on it. So unlike my case over there, where you have to unscrew the screws at the top, or all 4 of them, this just has this mechanism here that you pull up and then you just lift off. It's got a opening door. As you can see, there's the hinges. There we are. And it just opens up. Now let me just move some of the things to the side so that we have some space to actually open this. There we are. Now it does say that this case supports micro ATX and mini ITX. However, the ITX board I have just about fits in here, so I'm not so sure on what they mean, because I did look at the dimensions of an ITX board and an MATX board. The MATX is bigger in length and width, and the ITX is smaller in length and width. So I'm not sure how that's going to fit, as I'm going to show you now, because this ITX board just about fits in here. So if you're getting this case, definitely go with an ITX motherboard, definitely go with a micro ATX motherboard. No, definitely go with a micro ITX board, not an ATX board. Right, I'll be back once I've got the motherboard in there, and I want to show you what else you got to do. Actually, before I go, as you can see, these are standoffs. So you're going to want to make sure that these are in line with your motherboard. So just have a quick look at your motherboard, or you can just pick it up, put it in, have a quick look if they match up. And in my case, they do match up from factory, because this was in the ITX category. So I'll get back to you guys once I've got the motherboard in. Okay, so now that we have the motherboard in the case, you're going to want to get the screws for the motherboard. Now the screws do not come in the motherboard box, they come in the case box. So you should have a little bag in the back panel with all the screws and standoffs for the motherboard. So I've already taken some of them out. So as you can see, there's some of the standoffs and some of the screws, but I've separated the motherboard screws. So depending on what motherboard you have, it's going to take a different amount of screws to go into each hole. So as you can see, one hole is there, one's over there. I've already put one in so that the motherboard stays in place, so I can do this one-handedly. And one's there, one is there, and where else is it? One's there, another one there. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and is there one here? And 6. So there's 6 screws for this motherboard. Depending on which one you got, then there'll be a different amount of screws. So for example, for my ATX motherboard, there's actually 8 screws for it. However, I've only installed, I think, 6 of them, because the rest of them are unnecessary. Okay, so let's get this screwed in. Okay, so we now have the motherboard all screwed in. As you can see, all screws have been, come on focus camera, all screws are in. Right, so now let's get all these things in. So my motherboard came with two SATA cables. I've already got them installed in the case so it's easier. So what you're going to do is look at the connector. It should have this L shape in it. Come on camera, focus. Gonna have to get a new camera for the channel. Right, and then make sure the L matches up with the L in the socket. So there we are. And where's the other one? And there we are. Now these are the front panel connectors. So this is what technically is powering all these buttons up here. And the USB ports are powered by this, which goes into the 3.0 socket, which usually looks like this, or sometimes you'll have the pins exposed like I do on my ATX size MSI board. Right, so I'm going to get all of these in. Let me just show you the rest of the ports. So this is HD audio, which is for the front panel also. This goes in the port here, which is JEUD1. So I'm just letting you guys know that if you're also using an MSI board, so it'll be listed as that. So that just goes in like that. Also, this motherboard has something special in it. It's got a I think it's called a Realtek audio system. So it's probably got some sort of special equalizer and stuff. So you don't have to download third-party ones. Okay, so let me get all these things put in and I'll show you the rest of the steps after I've done that. Okay, so we're back and now it's time to install the power supply. So let's close the case door. So I'm not sure yet how to take this off the hinges actually. So if you're wondering why I haven't done that, it's because I don't know how to. So we should be installing the GPU. However, the GPU requires an 8-pin connector. So what I'm going to do is just install the power supply first, then the GPU. And actually no, we're going to install the power supply, the SSD, connect up the hard drives, then the graphics card. So let's turn this case over so that we can get the power supply in. Okay, so now that we're at the back of the case, I can show you some of the other features this case has. So as you can see, it's got this cable management area where you can tuck the cables in here and it'll keep it all nice and tidy. As you can see, I didn't actually do this. I needed that one and the ones down here. So as you can see from factory, they've already cable managed it slightly for you. And there you can see the hard drives. So the hard drives he already had from a old computer, but he wanted to upgrade to an SSD for his Windows. So that's why he's bought the SSD. And let's carry on with the rest. So these cables you're going to want to move out of the way. Actually, they can stay there because we just plugged them in for the front panel. Move them out of the way. There we are. Now you're going to want to pick up the power supply. There we are. Come on, focus. And just slot it in. So make sure you're not dropping any of the cables or you're going to be... There we are. Make sure you're not dropping make sure these cables aren't getting in the way of the power supply in case you either rip them out of the port or just tear the cable. Right, I'll be back once this thing's installed and then I'll show you how to install the power supply itself into the chassis. Okay, so as you can see, we're at the back of the case and I'm going to show you how to install the power supply here. So you're going to need screws that look like this. Come on, camera, focus. There we are, they're going to look like that. There we are. And they're the screws that go into here. So one goes there, there, there and there. If the screws don't match up, that means you've got the power supply the wrong way around. Now it looks like I've installed it the wrong way around, however this case only supports an upside down orientation because of the fan that's at the bottom of this. So the fan isn't facing upwards guys, it's facing downwards towards the dust filter. I'll show you guys the dust filter. There it is. Okay, now let me get this installed and I'll show you guys how to get all this wiry mess neatly put into the case. Okay, so now it's time to get all this wiry mess organized and put through all the right holes. So, as you guys saw, this motherboard only has a 4 pin instead of an 8 pin. So the good thing is with the power supply I have, there is the 4 pin. There we are. And you can actually separate it. So let me just separate this for you guys. And there we are, separated. Now this I'm going to feed through the top hole, because that is where the socket is. Actually, I'm going to put them together just for now so it can go through there easily. So feed that through there. And yeah, we're not going to cable manage that. The reason why I'm not cable managing this is because the power supply isn't here yet, the actual power supply for this chassis. So when that does come, I'll make a video on how to cable manage. And I'm also going to make a video on how to install in Windows on a USB so you can put it onto your computer. I'll be making that as soon as this video's in the process of being uploaded. Okay, so this is for the graphics card, the 8 pin. As you can see, I've already got it tied down. Now this is going to go through that hole, however there's a large mess here, so we're not going to do that yet. We'll just put that up there. Now the 24 pin, main one for the motherboard. Come on, there we are. Now we're going to get this one through the top port because it's closest to the 24 pin. So we'll get that through there. There we are. And so if you're wondering why I'm doing this first, it's because I like to have all the wire cables there so I can just go to the front side, put them all in instead of reaching through the holes and getting it out. It's a lot easier doing it this way. But if you find another way easier, go ahead and do that. Now, the fans that came with this case, I think there's some sort of controller built into it or something. It only requires one Molex, and I think they're addressable RGB actually because it has a LED button at the top. There we are, LED. Gets to focus. There. That's LED. That's, don't know what that is. That looks like an on button. No, it doesn't. That's a reset button. Sorry, it just looks weird on the camera. And there's the on button. So it has two USB 3 ports, headphone jack and microphone jack. So let me get all this stuff installed. So the Molex will go with the Molex that's from the power supply, and then the SATA will go with the SATA there, and vice versa. So the SATA, some hard drives take SATA, some take Molex, as you can see. I think only old versions of hard drives take the Molex, but most modern components take, let's focus, SATA. Okay, so I'll be back once I've got all of this installed, and we shall carry on with the guide. Okay, so now I have all the cables sorted out. So there's a 24 pin, there's a graphics card connector. So let's get the 24 pin in first. So as you can see, this little clip, come on, that will be going into the slot there. So just make sure it lines up properly. Let me get this in there properly, line it up, and then it should make a click. Or you should feel the click at least. I think it's the CPU on that click. So as you can see, this only takes a 4 pin. So we're going to have to separate this again. Let me get that separated for you guys. Wow, it's actually pretty strong. Right, now that that's separated, let's see which one goes in. They both have a connector on. And it's that one. So get that in. There we are. I think you heard the click then. Now that one's in. And now it's time for the graphics card. So where's the there it is. Let's show you guys how to install the graphics card. If you just want a video on how to install the graphics card, go onto my channel and there's a video I've made on how to install a graphics card in that PC. So if you guys want to see that, just head on over to the channel, go into videos, and you'll find it there. Okay, so let me get this set up for the graphics card. So what you're going to want to do is see these slots. First, just get your graphics card carefully and see what slots it lines up with. So it lines up with the first two. So I'm going to have to take out the first two slots. which I'm not sure how you do on this case because there's no screws. I think you just push it from the back. There's the first one. Ah yeah, you just push it from the back, and then I think you just jiggle it until it comes off. Or wobble it, there we are. It'll just come off clean like that. Get the other one. It's actually stuck in there pretty hard. In this case I'm going to have to do it backwards, I think, because of those connectors there. Let's try and see if we can do it in that small space. I hate these kind of connectors. I prefer the screw ones. Sorry, the screwing brackets like I have on my case. I'll show you that now. So as you can see on my case, I have the screwing ones, which are a lot easier to deal with. However, this case was £39, and that beast over there is nearly £100. So yeah, you get what you pay for basically. Right, now I'll show you guys me getting the graphics card into the system. And we're back. Now let's get the graphics card in. There we are. So what you're going to want to do first, as I showed you guys in my other video on how to install a graphics card, you're going to want to get this little what do you call this, similar to a switch basically. You just push it back and then you can put the graphics card in. Hopefully there's enough clearance for this, because this is actually quite a big graphics card, as you can see. One sec, let me actually show you guys. Look at this. The graphics card is nearly the same length as the case. It's a pretty big GPU this. So let's get that in. It's camera on focus. Yep. Oops. So it turns out it doesn't go in the top one, it goes in this port and this port. So this is what I meant before. You gotta make sure you know which port it goes in, or you're gonna make a mistake like that. Doesn't matter, I've got some replacements that can go there, so this gets covered up. Now let's get this in. So just let me make sure that's open. Yep. And let me just push it in from the sides. There we are. Get in. They're a little finicky sometimes. There we are. And you heard that one click, now you're going to hear a big one. Oops, come on. There's another problem here. Shouldn't be. One sec, let's open this and have another look, just in case. What on earth is happening? Right, I'll be back once I've got this thing in, guys. Okay guys, so you probably were making fun out of me because this thing wouldn't go in, but I actually think there's something wrong with the socket, because I've just tried another graphics card and it doesn't go in, and that was a small one that just has a single fan like this, and it seems to not be going in. So I'm going to put you guys on hold, and I'm going to have a quick look at the manual and see why it's not going in. Maybe actually there might be something in here. Right, it seems clear. Right, I'll be back, guys. And we're back. So sorry guys, this was actually my fault for not looking at the manual for this case. This case has this stupid panel that goes on the back, so until you don't take that panel off, the graphics card won't go in. So now let's get the graphics card in. There we are. There. Did you guys see that? All clipped in. Wow. So make sure you guys read your instruction manual before you do this, if you don't have a case, like if you're not using the exact same case as me. So make sure, if you're using this case, make sure you take that silly bracket off from the back, and if you're not using the same case as me, have a quick look at your instruction manual and on how to get the graphics card in, so that you don't waste a lot of time like I just did trying to figure out what to do. Right, so I think they've given us some screws here. Yeah, they have, because that's not attached to anything. Let me show you guys in the camera. There we are. So we're going to put those in. So you're just going to want to grab your X and unscrew that. Is it gone? There we are. Take that one out. Now I would just put one in there, but this is actually going to stay for a while. And let's get this in. Right, so which way do we do this from? So we do this from the back actually. It's actually similar to my deep cool case. I should have actually thought about that. Do as I say, not as I do. Let's get this in. There's the other screw. Get that one. Best thing to do, guys, is put the cable in last, because sometimes the cable, depending on the plastic, it's a bit hard to get in, and you don't want to accidentally bend the port or do something terrible to your GPU. So now we have the 8-pin here, so you can see there's a lot of access cable. You can see the GPU is not all the way here, it's right there. So you can push some of this cable back in. So I left the back panel open so I can actually do this. So look, I'm going to tighten, well, not tighten it, take some of the excess, which is, where's it gone? There we are. That's it. Now make sure this is lined up. Now I have this spare connector there in case I already need a 6-pin, so make sure that's in line. There we are. And get it in. Now on my GPU there's actually a light at the top, so I'm going to turn the flash off so that you guys can see the light glow. Oh, sorry you guys, you're not going to see the light because it's not plugged in. Right, there we are. As you can see, that's not in all the way, so there's that space there, so let's sort that out. There, it should make a little click. And now you can see it's perfectly in line. Right, so that's everything done. Now let's get this thing plugged in so that I can show you guys the startup process. I'm not going to be showing you guys how to install Windows because that would just make this video way too long. So I'm going to make a separate video on how to install Windows. So stay tuned for that. That will be coming out, like I said before, when this video is in the process of being put onto YouTube. So I'm going to be making that when this is being uploaded. So yep, stay tuned for that. And let's get this thing connected to the monitor, etc. Yeah, I'm just going to let you guys know that for when you install Windows, you're going to need a USB that is at least 8 GB minimum. So it can be 1000 GB, it doesn't matter, but the minimum it can be is 8 GB. So just make sure you got one of those, or if you don't have one, you can probably go to like any so in the UK you can go to Tesco, maybe Asda, and you'll be able to find one of these for really cheap. So you're going to need minimum an 8 GB USB. Or if you've got a disk drive in your PC, you can get the disk. Now we're on the final stage. Time to take off the wrapping. Please come off properly. And to those of you who have got to this stage, congratulations. Let's get this thing turned on. Chuck that over there. Right, let's get this thing turned on. I've got all the accessories, the peripherals all plugged in. If you're wondering where that's from my case. That's from my computer because I had to take out the power supply for this. That power supply actually looks pretty nice in there. Right, let's get this thing in. Wow. I actually quite like this case, it's pretty nice. Right, let's turn this thing on. Let's turn the light off because this thing probably has a lot of RGB. Damn. That must be a 200mm fan because that is massive. And then you got a standard 120 there. Right, let's see if it outputs anything. The main bit. Alright, the keyboard's on. Let's go into the BIOS. So to go into the BIOS, you're going to want to click Del. You're just going to want to mash it until it goes into the BIOS. The reason we're going into the BIOS is so that we can check the configurations, so to see if the RAM's working at the expected frequency and the other things, fan curves, etc. It's taking a bit of time turning on. So because it's its first time turning on, it's going to take a while. Let me put you guys on a dock. 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Turns out the dock isn't big, tall enough for you guys to see everything. No signal, that's odd. Maybe it's my monitor. It's a good thing I'm showing you guys how to build it like this, so the mistakes I make, you guys can learn from that, because most YouTubers I've seen on YouTube, they don't actually show you step by step. So if you have any problems like this in the way, they don't actually show you that. So it's actually quite good that I'm doing this. You guys can learn from the mistakes I'm making. This is odd. So the peripherals are getting power. Let's see if my headphones are. Yep, my headphones are getting power too. Maybe we'll have to turn it back off and on again. Actually, I should have pressed the reset button. I could have seen if I connected it properly. But anyways, turn this back on. Make sure everything's seated. HDMI. Yep, all those cables are in. Right, so why isn't it output? Oh, it's turned blue. Not sure if you guys can hear that, but it's making a whining sound. Might be the hard drive. And okay, so the screen is just blue. Hey, I'm in the BIOS. Yes, right, now we can check to see whether I've got everything right here. So it turns out the RAM box was telling the truth. The DDR speed is already preset to 3200 MHz and CPU speed 3.7 GHz. On the box it says it turbos to 4.1 GHz, so yeah, that's not going to be here because it turbos to that. Yeah, everything looks okay. Let's go to settings, advanced. No, this is not advanced. Right, let's see, memory. Yep, oh, that looks good. Yep, one dim because we only have one stick in there. Fan info, fan curves, looks okay. So we haven't connected a system fan because the fans that are in the PC are Molex. Right, let's show you the LED button. Let's see if this thing actually works. So, where is it? There it is. So there's the LED button. Let's see if it changes it. Oh yeah, it does. Right, so let's see how many options we have. Wow, gotta say the white looks pretty good. I think we'll keep on the white. Let's see what else we have. So that's the rainbow, so that's what we had at the beginning, and then you can just turn it completely off. Does that turn the fans off? Nope, the fans stay on. So that's the starting colour we had. I think I'll keep on the white. White looks pretty good. Plus it illuminates the inside of the case. Actually the red matches with the graphics card. We'll just keep it with the white since it stands out. There we are, look, illuminates the chassis. Looks pretty good. Right, so now that all this stuff is set, we don't need to go into advanced. We can quit here, and I'll see you guys when we're in the OS, when we're in Windows. Hey, and we're finally loading onto Windows 10. So I've not put the product key in yet because I haven't got one, but you don't really need a product key. Let me just enter the password. Give her a sec. That's odd. 1 minute, guys. Keyboards seem to have turned off. Oh, we're back on. It's working. Yes, it is. I'm gonna check what's going on here. Alright, I'll be back once I've got this thing started. And we're in. So let's get rid of this. What messages have we got? So the device is ready. So it's found out what keyboard and mouse I have. Yeah, I've got Forza Horizon 4 installing, so that I can do a few benchmarks with the system. Wow, it looks pretty cool, that. We'll do some shots of the PC later on. Okay, and that is how to build a gaming PC. So like I said before, congratulations to you people who have got to this far and have got a working computer now, or gaming computer. So yeah, if you like what we do around here, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. And if you guys want to see more content like this, then you're gonna hit that subscribe button, the like button, so that we can get up there and make more content like this. I'm gonna do a few other videos on how to install Windows, like I said, onto a USB, and probably gonna do a benchmark video for this system before I hand it over to the client. And yep, oh yes, forgot about that one. We're gonna make a cable management video too. So if you guys need help on cable management, there'll be a video on that too. Okay, so don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.